afternoon. It's Friday, August the 19th, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us on the news desk. My name is Sophia Wanuna. Let's get started to our news this afternoon. And court leader Raila Odinga continues his tour of the coast today with more activities in Kwale County. This morning, Raila addressed the LSK conference before heading northwards to other parts of the coast. Raila told lawyers that they need to uphold higher standards in their profession and get rid of rogue lawyers who steal from their clients. The court leader also said corruption continues to be rampant in the country despite the government declaring it a national disaster.
America's PBS highlighting the extent to which corruption is ailing our country. It began with the plight of an athlete, Hillary Kiplimo, who finished third in the 2015 Standard Chartered Marathon in Nairobi, but did not receive his prize money of about 350,000 shillings. Instead, his name was replaced with that of one Julius Korir Kiplimo, despite being awarded a medal. He got a medal, but somebody else got the money. We have lately seen how this corruption has played out before the eyes of the world in Brazil. And you see headlines yesterday, even today, about the mess in Brazil. The athletes are winning medals, but under what conditions? All this point to a nation in a crisis of governance. Away from the material and financial corruption that is engulfing our nation, the moral corruption that is being drilled in our youth through false gospel of riches. This new gospel has powerful, energetic, and moneyed priests. And when I talk of the high priest of corruption, you know whom I'm talking about. They preach to our youth in schools and churches and markets that it is what you have, not how you got it, that counts. They preach that success is measured in riches and it comes not from hard work, but from cutting corners, deals, cheating, and stealing from fellow citizens and from the government, the hustler culture. All these failures are anchored by our struggling and wailing and failing institutions.
On this story, we're now joined from the coast by our Francis and Tom. Francis, good afternoon. Other than the lawyers' meeting where we've seen Raila Odinga address today, yesterday the Deputy President talked to them as well. What are the political undertones from this? Is it being seen as well as a scramble, if you like, to consolidate votes in the coast region?
Well, Sophia, the presence of Deputy President William Ruto and, of course, court leader Raila Odinga somewhat heightens the political temperatures down here in the coast region. And, of course, our political observers will tell you that it's an out-and-out scramble for actually the coastal vote. And, of course, both sides looking intent to actually capture votes from this particular area. Right now, Deputy President has just finished a rally at Lunga Lunga and will be headed to Kingwede and later on Tiwi area to try and talk to residents of the coast region. And of course, Raila Odinga made that moving speech right there at the LSK conference, a speech that actually captured lots of interest and of course sent mixed reactions from different people, many of them actually hailing that speech as being timely and rational at this time of stage. Well, it has been politics and everything, and right now, Sophia, I will want to talk to a few members of parliament here who will want to hear what they are planning for. Of course, they are from the court side. They will want to hear what is their plan, what is the itinerary for Raila Amolo Odinga from here. Next to me here is the member for Kilifi, who is Aisha Juma. She will, of course, tell us a few things about what is happening. Where do you expect Raila Odinga to be headed from here?
Asante sana. Kwa sasa Mheshimiwa Odinga amemaliza kutoa hotuba yake katika kongamano la LSK, the annual general meeting ya LSK. And now he's having his lunch. Then he'll proceed to Bongwe Primary. He's going to hand over official bus to that secondary school. Then after Bongwe Secondary School, we are going to have a rally at Ukunda Town. And then after that, we are meeting the NAT from the county. And then tomorrow he'll be going to Tana River, meeting with ODM delegates and of course opinion leaders from that area. And then from there we shall be having a rally also in Tana River, and then he'll be lifting to Nairobi. Yes.
Why is it that we have Code Leader Raila Odinga at this particular time of point here in the Coast region? Do you feel it's a coincidence that we also having the Deputy President right here?
You know, initially we had our plan as a code, and I think Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga, the plan was well known to all of us, and he's here at the Coast, and we all know that Coast is one of the strongholds of ODM and code. So I think there's nothing new other than Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga meeting his people and strengthening our party as well. So I think we are tuko kwa mipangilio yetu kama kawaida.
Right. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa.
The issue of the Deputy President being at the Coast at this time of wakati ambao Mheshimiwa Raila ako, ni kwamba nataka niseme hakuna kikubwa chenye anabadilisha, because kama ni routine ya harambe anajulikana. Yeye amefanya maharambe mingi sana, amefanya harambe Kilifi County, and the time of by election watu walisimama na msimamo wao. So kutoa pesa kwa harambe, kufanya harambe cost, it doesn't change anything. What we want ni ahadi zile ambazo walikuwa wameweka kama Jubilee government kwa watu wa pwani, na hakuna chochote ambacho kinafanyika. Them coming down na kuinitiate miradi ambayo is like they want to lure the coastal votes. Let me tell you, wapwani wameamka, wapwani wanajua what they want. Yeah? Kwa hivyo mipango ya kusema eti wanaenda tutafanya harambe, to launch project hii, alafu waache ikihang, just because kutushow kwamba ati they want to do something good kwa wakati huu ambao imebakia miezi kidogo kwenda kwa general election. Kama hawakuweza kusolve the issue ya land at the Coast for the last 4 years, 12 years haiwezi kubadilisha chochote.
Thank you so much. That has been the member for Kilifi, Aisha Juma. And if I could pick the mind of Mheshimiwa Mishi Mboko also to tell us, Mheshimiwa, do you feel that there is a shift of ground in the politics of the Coast region?
I don't think whether there is any kind of a shift of ground. In fact, the program which Raila Odinga is doing it right now at the Coast is not really a competition. In fact, Raila Odinga has came up with a program for the entire Kenya. He was in Western, he went to Kisii, he's now in Coast, and from Coast he'll be going back to Western, and then after Western he'll be going to other areas. He was also in Masai land. So for him it's not a matter of competition. But I want to say maybe to the other area, maybe it is like they're competing with him. Because even if you look on the program which has just come by the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, they just made those programs just few days. Maybe I might say maybe it's after just learning that Raila Odinga is going to be in Coast, and that's why they just came up with impromptu program. So Raila Odinga is on his right track, is strengthening his party, is strengthening our coalition as CORD, and you know, the ground has spoken that it is ODM, it is CORD.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa, for your time. Thank you so much. That has been Mheshimiwa Mishi Mboko. Of course, some of the leaders that are giving us their feeling of what is happening down here. And of course, all eyes are still trained on the Coast region as the two leaders muscle for votes down here in the Coast region. Now back to you, Sophia Wanuna.
Thank you very much, Francis Antoma, for us, the Coast. And we'll continue with that region with the Deputy President, William Ruto, who continued his Jubilee's quest to consolidate support of MPs who have shifted allegiance from the CORD team. Ruto held a rally at the Dr. Kraft Memorial Secondary School grounds in Rabai, where he issued title deeds and launched an electricity provision program. Coast MPs maintain they have not been bought to join Jubilee, but are doing so out of their own volition.
Walichokuwa na kililia ni kuona utafuta na hata upata. Huu ni wenu nyinyi. Thank you very much.
Akwambia umpewa nini wewe uende kwa Jubilee? Sikupewa tanduru. Hata hiyo basha usemao kwa ya pesa, hakuwa natafutia watu makazi. Na nashukuru makazi nilipata, watu wangu wamesonga, Lakini je, kaa nyumbani ujiulize.
Nikiwa mmoja wa viongozi wa pwani hawa, hatutaki kuweka masharti sisi, kwa sababu sisi tunajulikana bana. Sisi tutaingia katika serikali bila ya masharti kwa sababu ya manufaa ya watu wetu hawa. Yale maneno ya zamani ya kuambiwa tunagawanywa kwa vyama vya kikabila na kimaendeleo, jameni, ni lazima tuangalie kwa umakini sana safari hii.
Hakuna lingine ila kujiunga na serikali na kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wetu wanapata maendeleo. Cha muhimu ni wananchi kupata maendeleo. Ama tumezoea vitandawili. Vitandawili wakati umekwisha, tusizibwe na siasa ya kuwa na vitambara vya vyama. Tuchague viongozi. Na sisi tumeshikana kama Pwani kidete. Vyama vote vinaingia mahali kumoja. Vyama vote vitazungumza sauti moja. Tuko pale ndani sio kwa sababu ya maslahi yetu, kwa sababu ya maslahi yenu.
Na sisi kama Jubilee tumesema mambo ya nomination, tunataka IEBC isimamie nomination ya Jubilee, ndio tuondoe ukora na mambo mengine machafu katika mambo ya kuchagua viongozi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi nasikia wenzetu wa pande ile nyingine wanapinga ati hawataki professionals wa handle mambo ya nomination, kwa sababu ni tabia yao kuuza tikiti za chama zao. Wanataka kuendelea na soko hiyo na kioski ya kuuza tikiti ya chama yao. Waendelee, shauri yao kama wanataka kuendelea namna hiyo.
Kura Yangu Sauti Yangu initiative comprising of the Kenya Human Rights Commission as well as the Katiba Institute have expressed concern over some of the recommendations of the IEBC report by the Joint Parliamentary Select Committee. The initiative insists that the committee did not extensively consider public participation in drafting of the report and believes that the selection panel tasked with coming up with the new commissioners does not represent the interest of all Kenyans. Speaking during a news conference this morning, the initiative said they would oppose any efforts to have the commissioners given a send-off payment, saying it is unconstitutional.
When these issues can no longer be ignored because the public brings it to their attention, we bring it to their attention, and it becomes clear that they cannot get away with it any longer, there's a rush to judgment, there is a rushed process which defines problems inadequately, limits them to some very few issues, and then we come up with some very slipshod shoddy which have no ethical content and no thought about the real problems and future of this country. We have a very shoddy compromise where people who claim to have done no wrong are demanding immunity, and we're supposed to pay them for doing we know not what. And we're supposed to spend further public money on an issue where there has been no accountability for what are recognizably crimes, and crimes which have been prosecuted elsewhere where processes have come to an end. So this is not how you do public participation. The elections do not belong to the two main political parties in this country. The people are sovereign, the elections belong to us.
And for more on this particular report, our Tim Otieno attended that press conference, now joins us from our City Center studio. Tim, good afternoon. It's good to see you. So they're saying accountability is not one of the issues that we've seen this joint select committee address. They're more or less sweeping the issues under the carpet. What else did they talk about today?
Well, of course, Sophia, they spoke on various other suggestions that they feel would have been implemented in the report that was tabled before the National Assembly yesterday. Key among them was they suggest that the number of commissioners should not be as high as 7, but should be reduced down to the bare minimum that has been put in place by the Constitution, and they feel that 3 commissioners can be enough to steer the electoral body into the next general elections. Now, basically, they want 3 commissioners out of this because they feel that the more the commissioners present in IEBC, the more they feel that their roles can be diluted and perhaps overlap, and they feel that many commissioners within the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission sort of creates a blanket cover for some who may be devious, and if they're reduced down to 3, then we can really focus on individual commissioners if there may be a need to in regards to integrity and accountability in this particular case that has seen the report table before Parliament. But aside from the number of commissioners, the Kura Yangu Sauti Yangu initiative also feel that the commissioners who are leaving office ought not to be paid for work that they will not be conducting. Remember, during the negotiations and even as the committee was sitting, they had agreed that all the 9 commissioners would be paid their dues up to the point when they would have retired, and that is next year in November 2017. And the Kura Yangu Sauti Yangu initiative believe that this has not been entrenched in the Constitution. Indeed, the Constitution does allow for commissioners to step aside months before the general election, but there is no provision that they should be paid for work that they will not be doing. And of course, they raised that as one of the concerns. And finally, they feel that inclusivity in the selection panel that will be tasked with selecting the next commissioners was not all round, because they say, aside from the 4 individuals who will be nominated by the Parliamentary Select Committee, the other 5 all come from faith-based organizations. That is SUPKEM representing the Muslims, there's the Hindu Council, there's the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, as well as the National Council of Churches of Kenya. And they feel that just banking the entire process, or 2/3 of the selection panel coming just from faith-based organization, may not really represent the interests of Kenyans. And this was also expressed by the Organization of Atheists of Kenya, of course, who had opposed this move. But Sophia, you could ask, why come now when the report has already been tabled before Parliament? Why not offer these suggestions when the Parliamentary Select Committee was getting summons from the public? Now, they say that the window for presenting their submissions to the committee was very narrow, insisting, of course, in fact, Gladwell Otieno, who spoke, who is the executive director of AFRICOG, said that the window for presenting their submissions was really limited, only that the advertisement was put on the dailies on a Friday, and they had requested for submissions the following day on Monday, and therefore they felt that the time period given for their voice to be heard in this particular matter was not sufficient, and that's why they are coming out now saying that the 3 areas regarding the number of the commissioners, whether they should be paid, and whether the faith-based organizations should be the only group factored in the selection panel, is coming at this moment, Sophia.
All right, thank you very much, Timothy. Now, the interim officials of Jubilee Party are set to address members of the press for the very first time after the dissolution of parties that make up the new outfit. Several members have been raising concerns on how the party is going to conduct its primaries and how officials will be picked. We're now joined by our senior reporter, Duncan Haemba, who's live for us from the Serena Hotel. Duncan, it's good to see you. Good afternoon to you. What else are we expecting from this members and their address?
Yes, we are expecting what I think will be a big announcement from what many are saying is the next big thing in the political arena in Kenya. That is the Jubilee Party that has decided to swallow small parties, or rather small parties have agreed to dissolve their identity and form one big thing called the Jubilee Party. But the invite was what you've actually just said, the briefing to the media. But upon reaching here, we are shocked that they're actually in a closed meeting at one of the rooms here with the party officials of the Chinese Communist Party, and the same officials were at State House in the morning. So it's after that meeting that we will be given a briefing, and from the look of things, we could be here relatively for a longer period. So as we speak, Sophia, they are meeting party officials from China's biggest party, the Communist Party. The same officials were at State House in the morning, so we are not so sure whether that will be the briefing or after meeting them, they will stick to what they intended to pass over through the media. Sophia.
All right, and in terms of the other elections and nomination process to be able to establish a substantive members that will fill in these positions, are the dates still fixed in as far as what the president announced when there was that meeting at State House?
After that big meeting at State House, this is the first meeting that again they are coming to the members of the fourth estate. So we are yet to know whether there is a change of plan. But given the president's busy schedule or schedule, if you like, I don't think that we'll expect any change from the dates that the president announced in his capacity as the interim party leader of Jubilee Party. Therefore, we expect that parties on 7th to do what the president said, individual parties to do their NDCs. Then on 8th and 9th is when, after they would have dissolved, they will conglomerate at Kasarani, where we'll have a 2-day NDC, the inaugural NDC for Jubilee Party at Kasarani. So we don't expect anything to change. And in terms of the teething problems that some of the party leaders of the parties that had agreed to dissolve and come into Jubilee, that is what we'll be seeking a clarification. Although pointers were, it's only major parties that will be accommodated. For instance, parties that don't have maybe one member of parliament in terms of representation like TIP, you don't expect them to come and demand equal share to parties that have bigger slots in terms of membership, representation in leadership like TNA, URP, New Ford Kenya, and all that. So we don't expect that much will change because only few parties, few leaders from the parties, bigger parties that initially had formed the base for that merger that actually we demand them to be represented. So I don't think anything much will change, particularly for smaller parties, Sophia.
All right, thank you so much. Duncan Haemba reporting for us there on what officials are saying is indeed the next big thing. And as far as Jubilee politics is concerned, a story will continue to update you on as it develops. Now, 2 people were shot dead and died on the spot, died on the spot after a known gunman in Kitale. The incident led the protest by residents of Gituamba area who said police are not doing enough to contain runaway insecurity. The area, which is a few kilometers from the Kenya-Uganda border, has in the recent past experienced various forms of robbery, with several people losing their lives. Area MP David Lazaro now wants an explanation from the government on why they have failed to protect the citizens.
Hapa tumekosa security.
Ati?
Na hata kwa security yangu nilikuwa nimeambia watu ya mtuko leo tukae na nipeleke watu showground. Ukaa uko hatawa walindwa na serikali. Kwa sababu DC alikuja hapa akaongea bila kujibu tena. Anaongea kabisa ati security tafutieni nyinyi kwenyewe kwanza. Sasa sisi na watu uko napiga sisi na unakula biashara. Anasema askari mnaona. Askari mnaona. Ati hakuna bunduki. Mimi nilituenua, mimi ni jeshi. Najua askari akaandikwa hakuna bunduki.
All right, thank you so much for joining us on the news desk. On behalf of the team that made it possible, we thank you for being with us. Now, Gold Rush is coming up with our Moses Wahisi and Robinson Okenya. Of course, all of your updates from the Rio Games. Get to know how Team Kenya is faring, that and much more in just a few minutes. Please stay with KTN News. Good afternoon.